Hello students and welcome back to class. Previously, we talked about the numerous career options available in biology, and I was able to put us through the application that biology play in the various sectors, including the healthcare, environment, education, pharmaceuticals, extraction, and the biotechnology industry. But in today's class, we want to take a look at the characteristics of living organisms. Characteristics of living organisms. And so, what are the characteristics of living organisms? Simply put, these are the features that separate or distinguish living things from non-living things. So let's say characteristics of living organisms. Living organisms are the features that separate living organisms from non-living organisms. All right. And usually, these characteristics of living organisms are often summarized by using the acronym Mr. Niger. Plus DA, where M here stands for movement, R stands for respiration, N stands for nutrition, I stands for irritability. So we have G stands for growth. E stands for excretion. Again, but this time around, standing for reproduction. We have D standing for death, and A, which stands for adaptations. All right, and so we shall be taking a look at each of these characters one after the other. All right, the first character we shall be considering is movement. And so biologically, what is movement? Movement here refers to the ability of living organisms to move parts of their body or their whole body from one place to another. Usually, animals are motile in nature, and they are often able to move from one place to another for several reasons, one of which is to search for food. So animals move from place to place looking for food. Animals also move from place to place to chase their prey. They also move away from their predators. Animals also move away from overcrowding. They also move away from competition. And of course, when there is overcrowding, there's bound to be competition because the organisms there will definitely compete with the limited resources available. Again, animals also move to look for mate, that's mating partner, for the purpose of reproduction. But plants, on the other way around, are stationary organisms and lack the ability to move about from place to place. However, there are some few plants like the mimosa. Mimosa pudica. This plant do show limited movements. They show limited movement of their leaves. The stimulus of touch. That is to say, when you touch the leaves of mimosa plant, it is going to fold up. This is a special kind of movement called thigmonasty. And this movement is controlled by tug-up pressure. All right. And oftentimes, it is always an examination question. The folding up of the mimosa leaves in response to the stimulus of touch is a kind of movement described as what? So the answer is thigmonasty. Alternatively, it may come as this. The folding up of the leaves of mimosa plants in response to the stimulus of touch is controlled by what? By dash. The answer is tug-up pressure. Sometimes this question may come in the essay part. What is thigmonasty? What is thigmonasty? Give examples of organisms that undergo this process. So, you should take note of this. Alright, the next feature we shall be looking at is respiration. Respiration here is simply the oxidation or the burning of food substances in body cells to release energy. And oftentimes, living organisms use oxygen to burn food in their system to release energy, and this is called aerobic respiration. But there are a few cases where some organisms that are found in oxygen deficient environment, like bacteria in the human gut, bacteria at dump sites, and bacteria at the ocean floor. These organisms are found in this environment where there is limited oxygen, yet they are still able to oxidize their food, this time around in the absence of oxygen, and the process is called anaerobic respiration. Take note, the respiration in the presence of oxygen or that mixtures of oxygen is called aerobic respiration, whereas the one that do not make use of oxygen is called anaerobic respiration. All right, let's take a look at another feature of living things, and that is nutrition. Simply put, nutrition is the ability or the process where living things obtain food, synthesize food, manufacture food, and use this food to utilize body activities such as growth, reproduction, and other bodily functions. And so, only plants are able to synthesize food on its own, and plants are therefore referred to as the producers. Whereas animals, on the other hand, depend on plants directly or indirectly for food. And on the basis of this, plants are therefore referred to as autotrophs, or let me say autotrophic organisms, because their mode of nutrition is either autotrophic or holophytic. Whereas animals, on the other hand, carry out what is called a heterotrophic mode of nutrition or holozoic. Okay, let me see if I have space on the board to put it up. On the basis of nutrition, plants undergo what is called, okay, let's say plants are autotrophs. That's first, and they undergo what is called autotrophic nutrition. Or you say holophytic nutrition, whereas animals are heterotrophs and they undergo heterotrophic nutrition, or let's say they are also undergo holozoic. Alright, so plants are autotrophs on the basis of their nutrition. They are referred to as autotrophic organisms, and they undergo what is called autotrophic or holophytic nutrition because they are able to synthesize their own food. Animals, on the other hand, are referred to as heterotrophs and undergo heterotrophic or holozoic nutrition. Alright, let's look at another feature of living things, that is irritability. Irritability or sensitivity is simply the ability of living things to respond to stimulus, to respond to environmental stimulus. And this could be the stimulus of touch, like we mentioned, mimosa plant that responded positively to the stimulus of touch by folding up its leaves. Stimulus of chemicals, stimulus of water, stimulus of heat, stimulus of sound. So these are the numerous stimulus that living organisms respond to. So irritability or sensitivity is the ability of living things to respond to external or internal stimulus, or you say changes in the environment. Alright, let's take a look at another feature of living things, and that is growth. Alright, biologically, growth is a irreversible increase, irreversible and permanent increase in size of the organism, weight of the organism, and dry matter of the organism. You see, oftentimes, some organisms like the aquatic forms may absorb water and they become swollen up. That is not growth. Some organisms like land animals may ingest food, like the snakes, may ingest food and they become swollen up. That is not growth, because after a while, when digestion takes place, the organism will go back to its original size. Like the aquatic animals there, the aquatic organisms, when osmoregulation takes place, they will lose water and get back to their size. But in biology, we refer to growth as increase in protoplasmic materials, which will result in permanent and irreversible increase in size, weight, and dry matter. Alright, excretion as the next feature of living organisms. Excretion here explains the removal of waste substances of metabolism. And this waste includes ammonia, carbon dioxide, urea, uric acid, and water. Of course, these wastes are toxic in nature, and if allowed to stay in the body for long, it is going to be harmful to the living organisms. And so there is need for the living organism to frequently or always get rid of their waste substances. Alright, let's take a look at reproduction as another feature of living organisms. Reproduction is simply the ability of living things to give birth to young ones. Let's say parents giving birth to offspring. It is the reason why there is continuity of life, because as parents die, young ones are coming up. So that is the critical feature of living organisms. The next feature of living organisms is death. Of course, all living things have a definite period of time for survival. Like most animals, for instance. Okay, let's use man, for instance. Science has made us to understand that man has what is called the lifespan. And so, after a certain period of time, man will certainly leave the planet. But in plants, it is somehow uh, not easy as it is in animals because most plants, like the perennials, they live for hundreds and thousands of years. So that takes us to the classification of plants based on lifespan. And so you see that according to lifespan, some plants are annuals, some are biennials, and some are perennials. So plants that are annuals, they live for only one season, or let's say 1 year. Those that are biennials, they live for 2 years, or let's say 2 seasons. Then those that are perennials, they live for a longer period of time, running into hundreds of years and even thousands of years. So unlike animals that do not have such extended period of years to survive, plants, particularly the perennials, they live for extended period of years. And lastly, we have adaptation as the feature of living things. You see, living things must naturally adapt to their environment, otherwise it will be difficult for them to survive. See, when living things are better adapted to their environment, it boosts their chances of survival. Is that okay? All right. So today, so far, we've been able to look at the characteristics of living organisms. And we see that the characteristics of living organisms are the features of living things that set them aside from non-living things. The features that living things possess that living things do not possess. And I said that all these features can be summarized with the acronym Mr. Niger plus DA, where M means movement, R respiration, N nutrition, I irritability. We have G standing for growth, E excretion, R reproduction, D death, and A adaptation. So that will be all for today. And if you are joining us for the first time, please do well to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any question as well, do well to put it down in the comment section so that we look at it together. My name remains Basi Edulo, your biology teacher. See you next time.